The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, this is your previous all-time high here on the Nasdaq at 18,707, and that's kind of where we sat for a better part of the week, really trying to mount that level. Now, this is the daily chart, and as you can see, we've stayed above that level since Monday close, just staying over that level over and over. Great bounce and retest of that level. Even on yesterday's sell-off, you're bouncing right off of it and holding that major level. You also have a little bit of level down here at 18,616. Now, a step from that as well, we go into something like SPY. We look what's happening there. You are holding your previous all-time high there on SPY as well. Obviously, 524.6, perfect touches, again, of that level. You had a little bit of an ascending triangle, but you couldn't really break out this week. So, again, that nasty sell-off yesterday, but again, bouncing right where you need to at our key levels as usual here, right? And that's kind of how we ended this week. And again, Q's giving you a little bit of a visual here. Ending the week, damn near highs. Great close overall. Pretty strong, right? Again, over that little ascending triangle we had. Now, we have a lot to unpack going into this week because, again, as we go into this week on the calendar, yes, you have PCE data coming out, I believe, Friday. You have PCE, and then on Thursday, you also have GDP. So GDP is on Thursday, PCE data is on Friday. Again, PCE is considered to be our largest inflation pool and the most important data pool when it comes to inflation as well. So a lot to unpack here. Now, we have a lot to start going over first. We'll go over DXY and then a few stocks as well before we wrap everything up.
And now let's briefly talk about my favorite investing app and the sponsor of today's video. If you're interested in trading the exact same broker in which I'm using for options and what I'm doing market research on, this is exactly who I'm using. This is Moomoo. This is their platform on their desktop. You can also check it out for the mobile app as well. This is their live news feed. And if you're thinking about making the switch, right now is a pretty good time because right now they're doing a 1.5% cash reward up to $300 if you transfer in. Or if you're just getting started and you want to kickstart your journey, Moomoo is giving you 5 in each of the Magnificent 7 stocks when you make a qualified bonus. You can go down and scroll and see all of this. It's right there on their website. Check them out. The link is down below.
Now, before we jump into the video, I want to say a few things that overall this week, we had not too much on the data coming out, and it kind of moved well. Now, I will say we've had very low volume into this week and to start this week. Some of the lowest volume on the S&P 500 that we've had in weeks, if not months, maybe even the past 3 years. Terribly low volume, but it's slowly, building back up. On the other side of that as well, at the end of this coming week, we're going to have a very big inflection point with that inflation data as well going into PCE. We saw Michigan inflation reports this week come out specifically today, which is kind of what bolstered the market and started bouncing us back to the upside, showing that inflation expectations look to resume dropping. That's good. Then we also go into energy reports because energy has been one of the defining factors and key indicators into inflation as well, which are also signaling that inflation will continue to drop. Now, those are the good parts of this. Now, there's a few concerning parts that we'll go over as well because I don't want to seem biased either direction. But overall, I'm not going to make you wait throughout the whole video. I'm very bullish going into this week. I'm going to tell you right now, everything we've needed to happen to continue to be bullish continues to happen, whether you like it or not. So again, that's my overall opinion. If you're mad about that, it is what it is. You can unsubscribe, leave the channel, whatever, right? But let's get back to the content and let's attack exactly what we're looking at because we have some big plays this week that I think have real potential. We have a few names that are at all-time highs that I think are just getting started. And it's worth mentioning, you don't have your NVIDIA split for around 10 to like 15 days as far as trading days. So I think NVIDIA has still a lot more potential as well based on how it ended. Let's get to work. So again, really quick, I do want to start with indexes just so you have a visual. We'll have the newsletter obviously coming out on Sunday. And if you're not a fan of the newsletter, I recommend you check it out. You just go over to our website. The link is actually down below. But if you're new, you've never used our website, you go to our newsletter and you just sign up there. Right? Guys, it's free. We post this every week. You can go over past editions. If you don't sign up by Sunday, though, you will not get access to it. So make sure you tap in. It's all of our levels, favorite stocks, futures, indexes, etc. Okay. Now, when we come back into the Nasdaq, I'm going to tell you right now, as long as you're above 18,707, I'm bullish on the NQ overall. Going into Qs, very easy to see here as well, right? Let me just quickly spread this out so you can see. As long as we are holding above the level right about here, 855 to 855.6, I am bullish. Those are the biggest things that I can say over and over and over. Actually, sorry, the level comes way back down here, 449. Sorry, my bad. That's your previous all-time high from March. As long as we're above that, we are very bullish. Now, the other side of this too is that we've already had some retest of this level. Now, typically what we look for is a break of the level, a retest, and continuation. And you've already had that. So that's really good as well. Now, going into SPY or ES, let's start with ES first and then into SPY. And as we look at ES, where are you at? You are below your March highs or your April highs, right? 53.33 right there. You are below that level. So I do want to see ES get back above that point as well. Now, I did mention something on Twitter today. It was your 53.06 level to get bullish throughout the day. And again, if you don't follow on Twitter, I recommend doing so. So again, 7 hours ago on ES, I said you got to get above. We remount this level, currently rejecting from lows from last week, the 53.06. You remount that, you push back up. And guess what happens? You push above that, you start pushing back into 53.33. So again, that's all on Twitter's. We'll subscribe, free content, whatever, right? So that's where we're at. Now, to get really bullish here, you want to start seeing ES get back above that level like so. That's what we want to see. And then last but not least, we go into Dow. And this has been the bad area on the market so far. We've seen tech do a lot of the heavy lifting, and that's most of the stocks that mean you probably day trade, right? Dow is a lot of the less appreciated names. Now, when I go into Dow, though, I will still say, if you start getting back above basically 39.3, you're going to start moving back up because you're illiquid back into 39.5, 39.6 with ease. So can we get back into this range? You know, we held 40K for a while there, but, you know, obviously we started trickling back to the downside. So again, I think personally this week as we go into the calendar, PCE, some of the Fed members, and what's happening there with GDP as well will be some of the biggest determining factors if Dow can get back into the game. But that's not going to come till the later half of the week. So just understand and know that. Now, the other part of this, the dollar, oil, etc. Now, we talked about this yesterday. The dollar was coming into our massive level around 104.9, 105. You came into this, go rewatch yesterday's video. Guess what? You pushed back below, kind of getting a little bit of a flag, a break. You came to our key level, coming back into it. We want to see if we can push back down and break below 104.17. You get below this level, and it's seeming like this is going to come in with some of that data as well. If you start breaking down here, where do we think this rolls over into? One of the biggest areas of the market we keep talking about, the yields, right? The 30-year yields. We want to see the 30-year yield get back below 4.42 and the 200 SMA near 4.48. You get back below those levels, in my opinion, it's a clear risk on environment at that point. You're already rejecting off your previous lows here as well. So you can see this little previous low going back to here where you were kind of when you're obviously very bullish on yields. Look how you're rejecting. If we get back below 200, it's all but confirmed as well. And again, the timing makes sense with what's happening with GDP and PCE coming out this week as well. So I think we're going to see some leading indicators there. Now, this is the other part that you need to be tracking. Oil. Now, again, the biggest thing, and this is the scary part here, because oil has been the leading indicator of when inflation surges, okay? And what happened? You go back to December, right? When the market was doing really good. We were dipping from like basically October through December, the market went crazy. June kind of stagnated, right? Or January, sorry. Well, oil bounced off your key level. You go back to June of last year, April, June, right? Oil bounced, went crazy into October, right? So anytime oil bounces, we typically get a surge on inflation or some more pain there. But the level you're coming into, this orange line is your 200 weekly moving average, okay? Just a simple moving average, okay? And that's what you're coming into right now. You've bounced continually off this. Well, now you're playing pinball in between the daily 200 and the weekly 200. And you're just pinballing back and forth here, right? Back and forth. If you ever break below this level, I anticipate sellers on energy will step in aggressively. The last time you broke below this level was all the way back during COVID, right? When COVID first happened and oil went down into oblivion. Now, I'm not saying that oil is going to dump down to $60 or $50. I'm not saying that, but it's going to be tough to get back above that level. And it will definitely signal some disinflation on broad markets and reduce a lot of costs across the board, which will further strengthen the overall economy. But I will say that it's highly likely you try to bounce off this level on energy, especially going into summer months. So I'm not like just going to completely ignore that either, okay? So just understand that. Also, to you guys, if you're interested in these indicators on our screen and what we're using, the link is down below for Lux Algo. We have our custom scripts with them, our volume, our levels, etc. Code OD40 for 40% off your first purchase, just to let you know. Now, really quick, we're gonna go into our stocks. I know that's what you guys came here for, the people's request. Number one, NVIDIA. I talked a little bit about this, right? We said pray to God that you get a retest of 974, but that's probably not going to happen. Now, NVIDIA, you ended the week incredibly strong at all-time highs, 164, and after hours are at 165 or 1065. I personally think NVIDIA is going to go for a run here. I think you're going to push closer to 1100. You've seen over like 10 price targets raised on NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA is incredibly strong. The 10-to-1 split is going to be really nice for it as well. So you're getting that break. You would hope to get a retest once you get some more separation, coming back down into previous highs, and continuation hopefully into 1080 and then 1100, right? Now, obviously, some of the sympathy plays here. AMD, you saw that hold down here at 158.7. We talked about all these levels here. You got back above 164.5. You pushed into 167, 168. Now, what you want to see here on AMD, a break above 168.5, retest, and then pushing back up closer into their next level and the next target, which is around 174.7, which has not been tested yet. So again, above 168.5, you're looking for that break and the move up into that level. And again, I've been trying to give you more visuals as well, what's happening here on the chain. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've traded some NVIDIA today. I traded some AVGO today. NVIDIA is moving very, very good. You can trade 2 weeks out, 3 weeks, whatever you want to do. I've been really playing with it over the past few days, right? But if you want to go with something less, and I keep saying this, less expensive on the chain, on the options, right? And you can get more time, like the 621s, they still move solid. You look at these contracts on the day, 47%, 45%, 48%, right? And these are out of the money contracts, so you're able to make that money. Or if you go, I prefer closer to in the money personally on some of these names, but that's for me. Like AMD, you're able to trade 170s that are really moving for you guys, right? And you're still able to make a good sizable amount off these as well. So I do want that to be a focus. I want you guys to understand that, and hopefully you guys are taking advantage of some of these plays I'm mentioning, right? And again, these are for June 21st, about 29 days out, and you're still moving 50% on the day. If you go something like next week contracts, obviously 100%, 89%, like these are moving crazy too. But again, how I'm looking at how I'm attacking it as well. I'm giving you guys kind of all the plays that I'm looking to trade. Now, obviously, in Discord, we mentioned a lot of those setups in place, but I still want to give you guys setups while you're here as well. Okay, just want to continue to tell you that. Okay, next up too, going into something like AVGO. I think AVGO is probably one of the biggest sleepers out there right now. I really think it is. Okay, it's been strong. Your new all-time high is up here like a 1445. You're working right now. You held, 1391. You also held your local lows down here. Very strong. Stair stepping back up. What I want to see going into this week is this 1403 levels holding as well. But I want to see a retested remount of 1414, 1413. If you can break and test this level, I think you're pushing up into target number 1428, 1429, and then all-time highs. I think AVGO as well. We go to something like the daily chart and look at the consolidation here. This is what AVGO does. Okay. It consolidates, it breaks out, right? It consolidates, it breaks out. It just consolidates, it breaks out. It happens. It's how it moves. Okay. So again, these contracts are a little bit more expensive. I still like how it moves. I still think it's a big printer. I think it's a lot of opportunity there. You have to go shorter dated, but the out of the money contracts, they move, people. They move, they move, they move, they move. So again, big fan of AVGO. I wouldn't go as dated personally. It's not the stock to go dated on, in my opinion. But you really want to capture those breakouts and take advantage. The biggest thing I can tell you guys right now is when you're trading, okay? The only way that I've been hitting some like speed bumps this week, it's been one of my best 3 weeks of trading. If you're in Discord, right? Me and Jay have been just on fire. But I'm going to tell you right now, the only time I'm getting hurt is when I'm not taking profits on these initial moves, right? Even if I'm not just cutting half of my trade, right? Because you're getting some chop here and you're not getting the best follow through, right? Leave a runner or two, but you got to start taking some profits. And I've been guilty of that this week, not taking profits on those initial moves. Now, again, semiconductors are like the brightest spot in the market, but the second brightest, if there is, it's Microsoft. Microsoft moves a lot like AVGO. You consolidate, you break out. You consolidate, you break out. Consolidate, you break out, right? Either higher, smaller levels, doesn't matter. It's how you move on Microsoft, right? Understand and follow some of these charts, understand their patterns, right? You need Microsoft to hold above basically 431, 432. You hold above that, I think you're pushing towards 440. Very strong. It's been killing it lately. Another name I'm looking at, again, I keep telling you guys, Robinhood. The consolidation here, this has been one of the biggest opportunities for you guys. I'm really happy for everyone here. If you've been trading Robinhood with me dated, the 2026 contracts. And again, I think some people get discouraged by dated contracts because they cost a little bit more. But again, Robinhood contracts are dirt cheap. Like they're really dirt cheap. I can go at the money for $7. Again, we look at something like Robinhood and you're like, Tyler, do I want to pay that much for a contract that far away? Do what you got to do, right? But just showing you the visual here. You have no liquidity above $21. There's nothing until 32. $33. So when it does hit, people are gonna be like, oh, should I trade it now? I'm gonna be like, you're an idiot. But like, do what you want to do what you gotta do. Some big plays on the board here. A lot of things I'm excited about. I'll have some more updates for you guys on Sunday and more stocks to go over. If you have questions, comment down below. Make sure you follow on Twitter so you get the updates, everything like that. Have a good one, traders.